Hey everyone, welcome to Pickleball and Beyond. My name's Ryan.
My name is Vino.
And today we are looking at the J2Ti.
So Ryan, I'm going to turn the tables a little bit on you
and
ask the thing that you usually ask me.
That's right.
What do you feel about this J2Ti? And one of the reasons is the J2K Pro is your primary paddle. You love that paddle. So Honolulu has brought out a really another treat. So let's go.
Yes, I remember when this came in, I was super giddy to try it because like you said, I love my J2K Pro. And I think this still plays as an all-around paddle, which is why I love the J2 shape.
Yes.
But I think what this adds compared to the rest of the J2 lineup is, for myself, this seemed to have just a little more power than the rest of them, right? And I think, again, this new surface, it's an interesting feel. It's hard to describe. It's cool to see this new technology come out. But I felt like there was just a little less dwell on this paddle, which is something that took me just a little to getting accustomed to. But the highlights were certainly like hitting drives with this paddle, just super crisp.
Yes. So we have now played with a couple of this so-called titanium surface. Played with the Shogun, bread and butter. We have been trying the Mosi Gold Rush. Review soon to come, so subscribe so that you kind of get to see that as well. And now this titanium, right? We'll put the specs of the paddle. It's very similar to all their J2K series, right? We have the J2 series, the J2, the J2K, the J2K Pro. Shape, everything is the same. It's just that surface that is different. It's not, so there has been a lot of reviews out there. Is it titanium? Yes, it's not titanium. The material itself is called titanium. So basically when you have your like shirts and stuff like that that are reflective, those it's kind of a dyed material, and it's called titanium material. It's actually a PET material. So it plays a little bit differently. And all those, we had that same sentiment, right? It took a little bit to kind of get the feel.
Yeah, it's just like when we first tried out Kevlar. It's like,
yes.
It's just a new feeling right, that you're not quite accustomed to.
Yeah, and I don't know, for me, I've enjoyed it. I played a little bit more. Let's go through the our series of functionalities, and at the same time kind of compare it with some of the other paddles that we regularly use within the Honolulu space, right? Let's go to control. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so for myself, I found the control to be the hardest part to get used to, right? I think it's just, again, that tied back into the surface where it seemed like it just had the least amount of dwell for me. And it was again, a little tough until you try this paddle out. And I struggled with the Shogun personally as well. So maybe this material just doesn't like me. But it took me just a little longer to get used to hitting resets and hitting those drops as well.
For me, I have loved my J5. I've actually had this as my primary paddle for almost like about 6 months, 7 months. And I've been kind of looking for a alternative. I like the maneuverability compared to that. And I felt, for me, the sweet spot compared to that was a little bit more. So for me, it was definitely like that upgrade compared from that kind of a shape.
Yeah, all the J2 series have a really good sweet spot, which is very nice.
So when we say it as less, I would say
less than the rest of the J2 lineup,
which is the white, which is a very high bar. So that's something that I want to kind of point out. How did you feel from this baseline? Your third shots, your resets, like the control part from the baseline, how do you feel that?
Again, the sweet spot on it was nice, but like I was kind of saying earlier, it took me a little to get used to like, okay, I had to hold back just a little bit on the power just because it's not what I was used to, because it has a decent amount of pop to it, right? So then when you're hitting those resets, it was popping off more than I was expecting, so I was hitting them a little longer than I expected. But if that's something you can get used to, I think there's a pro to that. So let's jump right into the power. I was finding that, again, I was getting more power and more pop with the J2Ti than the rest of the J2 lineup. And I've used a lot of the J2 paddles myself. And that's why I like the J2K Pro over, I know the majority of players, the hot seller is their J2K, but with the Pro, I got just a hair more pop and I really enjoyed that. And where I see the Ti is it's another step above that. You're getting even more pop on the ball. But for me, that was almost a little too much. But the highlight of the paddle again were the drives. It was getting this awesome topspin I wasn't expecting with that little extra power.
Yes.
And that's where I think this paddle shined from that J2 lineup. But you
And-
still get that awesome sweet spot with really good control as well.
And I think, just to piggyback on what you said, the drives and the spin on this,
Deadly combination.
a really deadly combination, because usually when you have paddles that hit really hard, it kind of takes away from that dwell and spin.
And I was worried about that because this doesn't have the longest dwell. I mean, it does have some, but
Yes.
it was getting way more topspin than I would have expected.
Yes, I mean, for me, I don't know if you would agree with me, I was getting the most amount of spin in that whole series, like their J2 series, and I would say even more than the J5, which I've been enjoying for a long time. You got a lot of spin.
Yes.
And you got that really nice top spin. It grabs, it turns, it keeps it low, get what I mean? So I really enjoyed the spin as well. For me, with that one, when you're talking about spin, like even when I'm blocking, if I just give it a little bit, it catches and spins. So the counter spin on that's really nice. So for me, out of all, I like all their shapes. So what would you say your highlight is, like just looking at all their shapes? I mean, the J2 is like one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's my favorite paddle because, like many people have been saying online, I think it's like one of the best all-around paddles you can have. Like, it gets quite a lot of power. Yes, it gets beat by some paddles, but at the end of the day, I love feeling comfortable still hitting my drops. And the best pro about this TI is just what you touched on, is out of their full lineup, I think this consistently gets like that really good spin on it. These all do a fantastic job, but the TI does seem to catch in like all scenarios.
Do you think that has like more dwell? What are your thoughts?
What's funny is like the original J2 is the most dwell.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think it's the surface that just doesn't get quite as much spin as
Yes,
the titanium.
So this still has that dwell, but it's giving you that spin as well, and so it's giving you that extra. Perfect. Which comes to adaptability, I think it takes a little bit of getting used to,
I
right?
think
This is
compared
not
to-
like you pick this paddle up for the very first time. I wouldn't recommend that, but as an upgrade, as an advanced player, as an intermediate player, you really get some features and qualities, and I think this is one of those you got to give it some time to play into it. What are your thoughts on that?
I would agree with that exactly. I remember we were discussing this paddle, and I think it's for players that are certainly closer to that at least 3-5 level, even better, right? Like myself personally, like even I still think I'll stick to like my J2K Pro, because it was a little hard for me to handle hitting those resets, for example. But I think if you are like a higher level player and you can hone that in, then I think this would be a better option. But I think if you're a little newer to the game or just kind of an intermediate player, I'd stick maybe more to the J2K, J2K Pro, or even the original J2. I think is even better for beginners. That's the softest out of all of those. But I think there is a special spot for this J2Ti as well.
Let's talk about price, because coming at $155, and with the discount codes, you can get another 10% off at $135. This is a really nice paddle. All their paddles for that, I mean, really is value. Like right now, the J2s run for around 99, and with code,
hard to beat.
I mean, you really can't beat it. You're getting one of the best in the business. So why don't we just quickly compare their series as like power, pop, control, like how would you rank that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's start off with control, right?
Yes.
So in control, I'd say the original J2 is the softest.
Yes.
Then the J2K. Moving on to the J2K Pro, and then in last would be the J2Ti.
Yeah.
And then in terms of power, it's 100% the exact right down the line the other direction.
Yes. So it's in all shape and form. It's a really good upgrade, a step up to what they have. I mean, we really enjoyed this. I have been playing a lot with this. I've enjoyed the feel of it.
Yeah.
And the whole J2 series, I would say, is one of the most maneuverable paddles.
Yeah, I think that's, again, where they blew up.
Yes.
And it's really cool to see this new addition with just a hint of more power. And I think it'll look really nice when you have a gold medal when you hold that up.
Definitely is going to match it, right? We have always enjoyed the Honolulu paddles, and guess what? Which means we have a giveaway for you. So what do they need to do to get one of these paddles on their hands? Mind you, this is still in pre-order. So they're going to be available. You can still use our code on the pre-order. You will get it. And as soon as it's available, we will give the giveaway. But to get one of these, what do we need to do?
You'll have to make sure you drop a like on this video, leave a comment as well as why you should be winning the J2Ti, and then be an active subscriber to the channel. We'll announce the winner on our website as well, and one of you lucky viewers will win yourself a J2Ti.
We enjoyed playing with this. If you want to try this paddle, please reach out to us. We like helping people try different paddles so they can find a paddle that fits for you. Like for example, they've got a whole lovely series with the J2, right? Yep. Come and try and see which one works for you. I mean, Ryan's a phenomenal player. I can't even touch him. But seriously, like for him even to say, hey, I still prefer a little bit more control, it's not saying that paddle's better than this. Yep. That works for him. Yep. So please come and try it out. Please check us out. Please subscribe. Hopefully see you in another paddle review.